Central to the sustainability of the conch fishery is a quota system determined by the Belize Fisheries Department. It's a scientific method used to arrive at a proportional share, which is to be harvested during each conch season.
The quota system is in existence in Belize for the conch fishery since 2003. It is a compliance that the Department of Fisheries has implemented in Belize to complement the requirement by CITES, which is the Convention of International Trade of Species. No? So we have done that, and that requirement is to do an assessment, the national assessment of your conch population.
As far as export, Executive Director Amanda Acosta of the Belize Audubon Society agrees that the quota is a collective effort involving government and co-managers of the respective zones.
So conchs, when it comes to exportation, goes through the cooperatives. And so there is a quota established by the Fisheries Department, of which co-managers and Fisheries Department collects data pre-season and post-season to the conchs. And that data is then used to determine the quota, so a sustainable yield that can be extracted. That is then used at the co-ops to establish the quota of what can be exported.
The potential issue of conch being overfished has raised significant concerns about the existing method used to establish the quota. Ramon Carcamo, a fisheries officer with expertise in this field, explains the process.
A key model that we use is the surplus production model, which determines abundance and biomass, meaning what we call is maximum sustainable yield. That is a key, very important reference point. That tells us how much conchs is out there, how much can be taken. Now, the department then adopts a precautionary approach in determining what is a maximum economic yield. It's a value, a quantity less than what was the calculated primary. From there, we then calculate a quota. A quota then is estimated, which is about 75% of the maximum economic yield. And so from that, we then distribute the quota to the fishing cooperatives, to the main fishing cooperative and the fish companies that participate in the conch fishery.
Of equal concern is that the quota system does not necessarily reflect the total amount for domestic consumption. This may very well add to the notion that conch is indeed being overfished in our waters.
We do have local consumption that is largely, it can go unregulated because it's not going through the cooperatives. It doesn't even have to go through a landing site, and so it's largely undetermined. It is really based on the consumer and the consumer knowing the product. So if you're wise and you know your size lengths of your conch shell and the size lengths and the mass that your conch should have, for instance, like your lobster, you have a 4-ounce limits and those kinds of factors, then you would have to be the wise consumer and know conch is either in season or out of season, or this is an undersized conch.
And that's where it gets contentious. The Fisheries Department says that it does in fact evaluate the trade of conch internally. To clear up any misconception that the local market is unregulated, the Fisheries Department assures that an evaluation is done once a year.
When we do this assessment, normally it's done in August and September. That's the period that we do the assessment for us to declare a quota in October. While the assessments are done, we also gather data on the catch landings of the different fishing cooperatives. By law, it's required that each fishing cooperative and company report their catches, the previous catches, on a monthly basis. In addition, the middlemen who are now selling conchs in a restaurant, hotel, or the fish market, they are obligated also to report that information. We also go and interview these guys to come up with some estimates of how many conch is being moved or captured by these guys.
Reporting for News 5, I am Isani Cayetano.